Okay, now look, I do remember going through you know, my YouTube and bumping into a no contact with parents you know, type video before. I just wanted to double down on this part 2 because it's been a, you know, it was a few of them that I saw. I wanted to get into another one of these. I pre-watched it and I'm not gonna lie, this one actually might inspire me to be a little bit vulnerable with y'all, right? Let's see.
Scorpio.
Yeah. Waking up every morning about shit.
I got you though. Yeah, one of the sensitive ones, man. Well, I think every topic was sensitive today. Why millennial and Gen Zs are going no contact with their parents, right? Now, as I shared, bro, like I went through a video like this, you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, I went through a video like this and we reacted to parent ghosting, right? I think I titled it that. I might as well title this one the same title and just put part 2 in there. And I feel like I'm only gravitating towards this one because, yeah, I resonate, bro. You know what I'm saying? The going no contact with parents. Yeah, it's something that's, you know, talking from experience. Let me put it like that. You know, and let's get one thing clear. We listen and we don't judge. Especially, you know what I'm saying? Especially in this segment, especially on this channel. I'm sorry. We just got to do it. Sorry, not sorry. Right? Let's go.
Has anyone else noticed that when an adult child chooses to not have a relationship with a parent,
what happens?
It's always, but she's your mom, but he's your dad.
Oh,
you only
my
have one
God,
dad, you only
bruh.
have one mom.
Oh,
and it's
my
never,
God, bruh.
Wow.
Exactly, bruh. And I'm not gonna lie, that shit pisses me all the way off, dog. It used to piss me off, like, ever since a young age, dog. Bro, you know what I would be told, bro? Listen to me, bro. You know what I'd be told? Like, okay, cool. I came up, right? My parents never was married to one another. They did go on to marry, like, other people, right? Like, other people. So, you know, I went on to have a stepdad and a stepmom, right? Both my parents. You know what I'm saying? But then every time I would even just ask, like, yo, what happened? Like, why, you know, just trivially even. Like, on moments of, like, just trivia, I was just like, yo, but, you know, how come you and Pops, like, da 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 da? I'd always get, yo, you were not there. It's none of your business, my son. I'm sorry, but you were not there. You know what I'm saying? So, anything that doesn't concern you, you know what I mean? Stay off of it. And I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, like, my parents are not savages. Let me just, like, get that one thing out there. I know they did. To this day, they want the best for me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, yo, how they handled that shit, like, and how I took it, it was from a point where it's like, yeah, they would tell me on some to protect my mind, maybe, I think, from the toxicity. But you know how I would justify that is that, dude, I am a result of that toxicity. Are you kidding me? I'm the result, bruh. How you telling me, yo, don't worry about it, dog. Don't stop asking these questions. These are not, you know what I mean? You're gonna get to them when you, yeah, I was literally pacified like that. I was pacified. Yo, you're young, you wouldn't understand the affairs of two people. It's only, you know, it began and it ended with them. Let's let that be. Like, nigga, I'm here though. Hello, it's me. I'm here. I'm born. I exist. If anything, bro, like, I deserve 1000% to know what the hell went on, bro. You understand what I'm saying? So the reason why I say, like, I get pissed, especially when they're like, yo, but you know, why would you question your parent? Like, oh my God, like, oh, you turn your back against, you know, someone's like your parent. Like, why would you do that? It's your only parent. It's like, bro, if you don't back the fuck off with all that ignorant judgment that you're about, you know what I'm saying? Kudos to you if your shit was all put together, nigga. Like everybody not the same, right? My fault though. Let me let them go on.
What?
It's just I'm getting, it's a sensitive one. I'm getting a little bit tight. Not gonna lie, but I'm good. I'm good.
Could a parent do to cause their child to make this decision?
That's a good question.
Or it's never, but they're your children. How could you treat your children that way?
Exactly. Right? Who puts the accountability on the authority at that point? Who turns the accountability question on the authority at that point?
Why is it that the responsibility of the relationship is placed on the child?
This is the least favorite part of my job. My patient's asking me to call his son, who he's not spoken to in 10 years, and tell him to come visit him before he dies.
Okay.
What? Wait. So you telling me a patient that you're dealing with is telling you they're about to die? So, nurse, can you... Oh shit, they're about to die. Nurse, just please call my son. We haven't talked in 10 years. I'm dying. Just tell him to come see me. Now. Huh? Wait, you don't, sir. Mr. Johnson, yeah. You telling me, bro, you don't know me from a can of paint. I've never seen you in my whole entire life. You telling me I should take the responsibility for tying a bond that was severed, you know what I'm saying, within the process of 10 years, and you want me to just like fix that, patch that up for you, or at least, you know, make your son understand that you're dying and you want to see them right now? Respectfully, I know you're about to die. God bless the dying, God bless the dead. Bro, suck my dick, bro. I'm not gonna lie, nigga, suck my shit.
So he said no,
I'm not
he's
gonna
not
lie.
gonna come. I said that I respect that decision. Asked if he wants me to notify him whenever his dad does die, and he said yes. I have to go in here now and tell the patient that. Okay, I told my patient.
That's crazy.
Didn't go well. I told him that his son said that he doesn't want to come. The patient asked if I told him that he was dying. I said I did. He said, you should have told him that he had to come. I said, I'm not going to do that. I offered
W Durst.
if my patient wants to write his son a letter that I will get it to him, but I said I can't tell you that he'll open it. My patient told me to get out. I love this patient so much.
That was it? Okay, let me not laugh. Has he passed on yet? I don't know. Okay, cool. Probably by the, you know, by us, you know, watching this video, it's already happened. R.I.P. man. God bless the dead. Yeah, no, that's crazy, bro. I'm not trying. Alright, let me shut up, bro. Let me, you know what I'm saying?
But it's just not my place to guilt trip someone into coming. I have no idea what this person was like the first 80 years of their life before I met them.
Yeah.
As much as it sucks to get yelled at in that way,
He yelled at you?
hopefully I did the right thing.
Now I don't.
You did the greatest thing. Matter of fact, you did the greatest. Look, I think, you know what I'm saying, just off of that POV right there, I think your patient died a happy man, or at least he died a better man, because he understood from your reaction that, yo, life doesn't work that way, sir. Life does not work that way. And if you have to learn that lesson through me, a complete stranger who was supposed to, like, right, attend to your health right now, of which is deteriorating, RIP, you're about to dip, nigga, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you gotta learn the hard way, man, that this is not how life works. And yes, maybe your kids couldn't tell you. They were like, they're your kids, they're vulnerable, they're younger than you, they can't just tell you off like that, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, hopefully you got the picture before you dipped, bro, right? Okay, he's never gonna see this. He's not watching this. RIP. But yeah, hopefully he got the lesson before, you know, dying. Hopefully he was like, oh shit, I get it. Nurse, you're right. Shit, the nigga hates me, don't he? No, my fault. That's crazy.
I don't understand why some parents act so surprised when their kids go no contact, knowing damn well you treated that kid like a servant more than you treated them like a child. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing parents out there. But then there's a select group of parents that traumatize their kids, that never allowed their kids to speak.
It is trauma.
Never created a safe space. And to be honest, you're one of the reasons why your child deals with so many different issues like anxiety, because you stressed that kid out. That kid never was allowed to be a kid because you forced them to grow up fast. Now, a lot of parents are going to say, I was young, I tried my best, I did everything I could.
What else?
That still doesn't mean that
That's always the excuse, isn't it? Always. I'm telling you, 100% of the time. You ask a parent like that, they'll tell you exactly that.
Ever had the conversation where you apologize for all the wrongs that you did to your child? If you as a grown adult, 40, 50, 60 years old, still can't self-reflect and listen to your child vent about the things that they went through, and you're just going to dismiss their feelings, that's why they don't want to talk to your ass no more. I understand this might make some of you mad, but a lot of these kids don't ask to be here. You sat up there.
A lot of these kids don't ask to be here. Hold on. Correction, sir. All of these kids don't ask to be here. It ain't no one kid that asked, yo, can I get born? Now, please, y'all wasting my time. I need to go, nigga. I need to go be this high value male, nigga. Y'all delaying me from my assignment, from my existential assignment. Alright, I'm sorry, I had to make that example. But it's like nobody asked for that shit.
And had that child. You sat up there and brought that child into this world. Now, if you did it in an irresponsible way and or you had a child before,
that's on you.
You was ready. Are you gonna put that onto the kid?
Oh my god.
Or are you gonna take responsibility for your action?
Oh my god, bro. Watch out. Watch out, gang. Like, what are we talking about? Come on, bro. This is no question even.
At the end of the day,
I don't even know why we asking the question.
A lot of kids would love to love their parents and have that relationship.
Sure.
But a lot of adults act like fucking kids.
So there are more and more millennials and Gen Zs who are making the difficult decision of going no contact with their parents.
Yeah.
So traditionally, the family is viewed as that sacred union, and no matter what happens and no matter the circumstance, you should never cut ties with your family. But in recent years, people are moving.
Bro, how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about that? You know what I'm saying? Like the whole existential reality that, yo, blood is thicker than water, right? Y'all know that saying, blood is thicker than water, blah blah blah. Like your family is all like is all you got. Like if you ain't got nothing else, your family, you know what I'm saying? But then let's say you've experienced nothing but traumatic experiences, at least from your POV, because guess what? Whether you're a kid or not, bruh, your experience is real to you as that kid. I'm sorry. Yes, we understand that sometimes it's a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? It's a misunderstanding of energies. Maybe your kid is not understanding who you are. You trying to get, you're trying to get to know your kid, to understand your kid. They still small, they still little, things like this, right? But a misunderstanding can always, like, it can fix itself, right? It can get fixed because you understand that you was in the wrong. That's a person who's self-aware enough to admit, self-reflect, and admit they were wrong. And this can happen way earlier before the child even gets an opportunity to cut you off, to be old enough to cut you off, right? But if it's something that you're totally ignorant to, you never want to just like tap into like understanding why that is. Of course they're gonna cut your ass off, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, does it ever, like, so you telling me it never dawns on the parent to be like, yo, I really messed this kid up. You know what I'm saying? I really messed this kid up, and clearly it wasn't a misunderstanding of energies. This kid really believes that I messed them up. And you know what? Their experiences are valid too, goddammit. Their experiences are valid too. So once that kid has decided to be like, okay, I'm grown up now, I don't want to keep this thing going. Shit, I feel like it's valid for them to like see family as, least, like, as, something that's really low on their list of priorities in terms of people to connect with. You know what I mean? Regardless of a circumstance. People can choose their friends, their best friends, over their family, like, no problem. And I'm starting to see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, more and more. And here's the one thing that I'm grateful for about this internet, man. Like, I hear a whole lot of these stories that, where I can resonate with, and I hear it from other people, and it's like, damn, I'm not the only one that, you know what I'm saying? And even talking about this with y'all right now, I don't be talking about my family situation, my parental situation with anybody. Like, I'm talking about even physical, people that I know physically, bruh. You know what I'm saying?
Away from that, where they value trust, commitment, self-care, good mental health over those traditional values.
That's it.
We were always taught that blood is thicker than water. And
what did I just say? Man, if you don't get the fuck out of here with this whole little...
Whatever happens with your family, you should always work it out. You should always try to be the bigger person, especially if it involves your parents, because after all, they brought you into this world. But more people are realizing that their mental health and their overall well-being is more important than holding on to a toxic relationship, even if those toxic people are your parents. If you enjoy content like this, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
I just saw a creator posted a video talking about the fact that when people go no contact with their family members, specifically they were talking about parents, it's not because of something that happened to them when they were 11, it's because of repeated continuance of patterns of behavior. And that resonated with me really hard.
Yeah, and I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the saying, death by 1,000 cuts. That's that kind of death right there. That's that kind of metaphoric death right there.
Because
right?
I had an abusive childhood, and I have no contact with a lot of my family. And a lot of them walk around and make it seem like I'm just bitter and miserable for things that happened in my childhood that happened 20, 30 years ago. And that couldn't be any further from the case. Yes, those things happen. They had lasting impacts on me, and I was mad about them for quite some time. I'm not going to lie about that. But I spoke to most of my family well into my 20s, so it was not something that was happening to me when I was 15. Rather, every single body that I cut off, I cut them off because I had a eureka moment after an active engagement with
Eureka
them.
moment.
Like, when I say that, I mean like I'm actively engaging in conflict or conflict resolution with them, and I had a eureka moment where I realized this person is never going to change. Nothing is ever going to be different.
Yes. I like what you're talking about right there. Right? I like what you're talking about right there, lady, because you know, you're only lucky if your kid can come back to you and just like realize, you know what, this person is never gonna change, bro. Let me just like be the bigger person. And I don't know like what kind of spiritual awakening you gotta go through for you to just like put that kind of thing behind, because that's years worth of trauma, right? It's years, bro. It's death by 1,000 cuts, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it happens like gradually, slowly but surely, just regularly, frequently, to a point where it's like, yo, even you in that moment of just being young as you are, or young as you were, you know what I'm saying, like you couldn't speak up for yourself. Like you couldn't keep just like defending yourself. You're a kid, bruh. You can defend yourself like to what? The person you have, the person that you got, you know, for you as your only defense, or as your, you know, last form of defense. They're the ones that are, you know, victimizing you. And it's like, yo, like what else do you got, you know, in your corner besides God? Or you know, whatever higher power that you believe, you know, you can take refuge in. But then as a kid though, you don't even understand like where to take refuge, you know, besides where else to take refuge besides your parent, dog. Because, you know, at that point, I'm talking about like really like infant stages, right? Nigga, your only God is your parent, dog. Facts.
With this person,
they're the source of everything.
When I was 11 years old, and who they are now is the same person. And while they cannot manhandle me the same way because I'm no longer a child, if I'm going to have a relationship with this person, I have to be willing to subject myself to constant disrespect and being manhandled. And I decided that I didn't want a relationship with them that bad. It makes them feel better to tell themselves it's because I'm bitter and I'm holding on to the past, but they are the same exact person when I was 11 years old that they are today.
Damn.
They have not changed. They're not going to change. And that was the realization that I had to come to. It's not what happened to me at 15. It's what happened to me at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. For all the years 45. That I'm in contact with you, I keep having the same experience.
All the way up to your current age of 42. That's crazy.
And it was my own mother who taught me that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. At some point, it is insane to continue engaging with these people and expect anything different from them.
Facts.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I'm an estranged mom, and I just say it like I see it.
So I've been no contact with my mother for 8 years, and this woman reminds me a lot of her. Go back and watch her original video. I will tag her so you can watch it, but the whole video is just her not taking accountability for anything she's done. Kids do not cut off their parents completely for small things. They don't cut off their parents for things that have only happened once or twice. A lot of people cut off their parents because they think there's no hope for them to change. And because that parent is never willing to take...
So as in you give the opportunity, you know what I'm saying, for, you know, for actually seeing a change. Like, you know, you keep hopeful to see something change, right? To a point where it's like, this thing is going on for so long, to a point where it's like, nah, dog, this is crazy. There's no change that I'm finna see here, right? And then you kind of like sit there, you sit in it until you know what I'm saying. You kind of like sit there, you know, just like itching for your moment, bruh, to just like slip away, dog. And that first moment of you just receiving, you know, your autonomy, just to get out the house and go just be your own person, like you are out and you are never coming back type shit.
Accountability for what they've done. This woman avoids accountability at all costs.
Let's hear it.
First, she says that she treated, I guess, her daughter-in-law and son like garbage during her daughter-in-law's pregnancy because she had a brain injury. And she just had zero control over everything she did at that point. Then she mentions how her therapist says that her ex-husband and her daughter-in-law were kind of the problem. At least that's what it insinuates. Then she talked about her last kid that went no contact with her, and how essentially they were influenced by their other siblings, or that's how she makes it seem.
Yeah, well.
And then she says, oh, but I've apologized, and I'm not exactly sure what she's apologized for, because the entire video is her not taking accountability for anything.
Shit.
She also mentions that her kids believe that she's going on a smear campaign by talking about this stuff. And
nah, bro, that sounds like classic narcissistic behavior, dog. Hell nah.
Relate. My mom would complain about me to anybody who had an ear open to listen. And she would talk exactly like this woman is talking. So many excuses, so many excuses, and never taking accountability. At some point you have to figure out what is more important to you. Either your pride and ego or your relationship with your kids. Now, I'm not saying that even if she decides to give up her pride and ego that her kids would talk to her again. With the way she's talking and the things she's doing, I don't think there's any possible way they would want to speak to her again. And I know from my personal experience, I wouldn't want to. It's sad to see people's pride and ego get in the way of some of the most important relationships in their lives.
That's crazy.
But the longer you avoid accountability...
And I feel like, these are the kind of parents that might even put so much emphasis on just the connection of family, the connection of this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, yo, your siblings are all you got and this, that. I remember, dog. Just this one moment, bro. I think, you know, I was at my dad's spot, right? As I told you, like, my original mom and dad, they were never married, right? They went on to like marry other people, and so therefore I, you know, had a stepmom and a stepdad, right? So I'm at my dad's spot where, you know, he's living with my stepmother. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, apart from me, you know what I'm saying? My dad, like, after me, I mean, my dad had a kid before me too. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like, yeah, like out of wedlock, you know what I'm saying, did his thing, he was young, blah blah blah, right? And then he came and had me, same thing, out of wedlock, still young, did his thing, blah blah blah. And then he went on to marry, you know, a woman, his wife, my stepmother. And then yeah, they had kids too. So now fast forward this one moment, I'm there, I wasn't living full time with them. I was just like visiting, right? So I'm there, I'm kicking it. I used to live with his mother, my grandmother, my dad's mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, my parents' mothers, like on both ends, they're the ones that raised me, my grandmothers. You know what I'm saying? So I go to my dad's place, right? I visit there, and my younger siblings, right? They were not there. So yeah, I kick it for a few days, and then they come back home, because to those siblings of mine, that was their home, right? I was just there visiting. As I told you, like, I'm not the child of this marriage, this family, so I would just come visit. Like, I was living with my mom's mom, so I was visiting. But then my other siblings, right, that were part of this marriage, they lived here. This was their home, so they went to go visit other parts of family, and then they came back, right? So the thing is, I came up as like a kid that I was always to myself. I was always in the room, blah blah, introverted, because of these whole energies that led us to this video. You know what I'm saying? I just ended up being that, you know, anti-kid, anti-social. You know what I'm saying? I would always close myself in the room. So those siblings that I'm talking about, they come back from visitation. So everybody's in the living room, including, you know, my dad and my stepmother, everybody. I'm the only one in the room. I was constantly in the room, bro. I just like go grab my food, go back to the room. You know what I'm saying? Just constantly be chilling in the room. And then this one time they come back, you know what I'm saying, from wherever they come from. My dad just like, okay, a couple minutes go by. Okay, he sees, you know, this nigga still in the room, he's not coming out. Okay, cool. Hey, and then he calls me out. He sends the, you know, the last born, like, to come get me out the room, like, yo. And then, you know, he calls me out the room. He's like, yo, can't you see your siblings are here, bro? How the hell you still, like, in your room, nigga? Like, Your siblings are here, bro. You like least you can do is just come say hi and just kick it with them. Like, bro, is this real right now? You know what I'm saying? You wanna now blame this whole thing like of me not having, because like as a result, bro, of the person that I had become, there was no bond with me and the siblings that came after me. You know what I'm saying? The siblings that my dad would create in his marriage when he got married. Also in my mom's side. But since we were talking about this, my dad's side of the family type of example, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? As a result of just how I came up and how I was treated and all of that kind of thing, like, I had this thing about me where it's like, even that bond with like my siblings, my step siblings, you know what I'm saying? My half siblings, let me just call it that. You know what I'm saying? It's not even, it's even tough for me to just say, not my siblings. You know what I'm saying? I literally got like, my mind has latched on to just, you know, their step siblings. It's like there's this barrier, dog, always. You know what I'm saying? And then like in that moment, I realized this nigga's blaming me for like not even having this connection with my siblings. Nigga, you cooked this meal up, bro. You cooked this kind of food up, bro. You understand what I'm saying? And this kind of realization would like just hit me later on that, yo, I actually had the kind of parents that would like take how, you know, the result of what they've cooked up and put it on me, bro. And as a result, bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro, I grew up a pissed kid, bro. I just couldn't express that shit because, yo, I'm gonna express it to who? And where am I gonna go? Because I had one of those parents, okay, cool. So you wanna make your own decisions, you wanna feel how you feel? Go feel how you feel outside of my goddamn gate, nigga.
Not only does it hurt your kids, but it hurts yourself.
Yeah.
You don't allow yourself to grow and change. And even if your kids never talk to you again, it would be beneficial to learn how to take accountability.
That's it.
It's so unfortunate to see so many parents on this app not getting it. I remember coming across this video and it was like, what is one thing that you wish your parents did?
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you, like 95% of the comments was, I wish my parents would admit when they were wrong. I wish my parents would take accountability. And there's a big reason as to why that is.
Yeah.
I think because millennials and Gen Zs are prioritizing their mental health more, we are tolerating less abuse. No longer accept that just because we are related to somebody, they get a free pass.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, from what I've seen, people my parents' age or people older than that, they accept abuse from their parents because that's what they thought the norm was.
So it was that perpetual cycle, right? It was that perpetual cycle.
So I think a lot of these
No, and don't get me wrong, I have like, you know, ruminated on those kind of thoughts where it's like, yes, it is because the fact that, you know, they experienced this and this was life and this is how life's supposed to go and this, that, and the third, and you know what I'm saying? But it's no excuse, bro. That's no excuse, bro. Like, come on, bro. Nobody is supposed to take accountability for your own actions except you at the end of the day. I don't care what you thought reality was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm at a point where like, yo, both my parents, right? I'm at an age where, you know, the time that both of my parents were my age right now, you know, my mom like just had me. And at the age that I am right now, when my mom was this age, I was around like 5, right? My dad, like at the age that I am right now, he was on his second kid. And that was me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't even got not even one kid. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of like shapes it like that right there, like that whole situation right there kind of can attest to how I thought like the decisions that they made, right? It wasn't the best decision, man. Or at least it's not gonna be the best decision for me to make. You know what I'm saying? Clearly because of the result of how I came out of the situation and how I think, you know what, I want to make a better decision, because clearly I thought it was not the one, man. And it's not the kind of decision I'm trying to make. So I'm really not trying to emulate my parents' footsteps. Facts.
Who are older are confused as to why their children are walking away. Because there's this toxic narrative that you're related to them, so they get a free pass. Or at least the child has to keep forgiving and keep forgiving. You are not owed access to anybody.
That's ridiculous,
especially
yes.
when you're not able to own up to the things that you've done. I will say, I'm proud of so many people in my generation stopping the dysfunction and not letting it carry on in their own families.
Yeah, that is W,
because
dog.
that is not easy. It's one of the hardest things you could ever do.
Yes.
You are breaking cycles that have never been broken before.
Yes.
And that is huge.
That's
These are the
big.
things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years. When I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. They would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action, and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma.
That's
And
true.
then even once the trauma is acknowledged, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision.
Yo, who the fuck said that? Yo, who the fuck said that? Who the fuck would ever say, yo, you took the easy way out because you cut them off? Wait, y'all serious right now? Is that a real thing that people will be saying? Alright, you know what? Let me relax.
Decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret because I know everything that took
I don't regret not 1 second of that shit. Facts.
place, and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself.
Yo, my fault. Let me chill.
And as a result of not having contact,
No, it's triggering. I'm sorry, it's triggering.
with me, she also does not have contact with my children. And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything, and that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street.
Damn. So you telling me, bro, like you're not even willing for your kids to like meet your parents? That's deep. That is deep. Look, man, I be thinking these kind of things, right? I be thinking these kind of things for as long. But look, man, I'm still, you know, I'm in this process, bro. I feel like, you know, even if this is a reality for me, you know, cutting off, you know, toxic family members, cutting off, you know, to a point where these toxic family members being your parents, you know, cutting them off has a lifelong effect. Even though, yes, you cut them off the experience, you might, you know, put an end to the experience, but you know, the mental effects, the mental effects, implications, even emotional, the things that you know had happened in your emotional body, your psyche, all of those things are just like lifelong effects are placed on those aspects of your life, right? Lifelong. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be the trauma, just like the memories of you thinking back to those things. You know what I'm saying? You trying to escape those things by, you know, depending on substances. You know what I'm saying? Or just those kind of memories giving you just panic attack type episodes. And now your life is not the same because now you're regularly experiencing these, you know, depressive moments and like just those, like you may just go through that your whole life. You understand what I'm saying? So at the same time, I am at that peak level of just like, yeah, I'm fucked over it, right? I'm fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like I catch myself like being so pissed, bruh, just damn near crashing out in my room. You know what I'm saying? Just like pissed, bruh, just like talking, just like that time I'm alone. Like that's crazy. It's crazy to think about, bruh. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm even ashamed to admitting it right now. But you know, since I know I'm not the only one going through this, bruh, like fuck it. I might as well just put it out there. You know what I'm saying? So like since that's the whole reality that, you know, of how I'm seeing things, right? It's like, it has been a thought to me that, you know, one day when I do have my kids, you know, are my little ones, you know, should they meet their grandparents? That's a question. You know, whereas, yes, the traditional way of looking at things is like, well, what do you mean? It's their grandparents. They supposed to see it. No. No. They don't have to. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's okay, bro. You feel me? Because obviously, I wouldn't want... Yo, my kids would be the most vulnerable part of me. How the fuck would I want that sort of, you know, toxic patterning to repeat on my kids, dog? Like, if it means you don't know my kids, you ain't never gonna know my kids. That's a fact. That's a fact. So, it's crazy that it's a reality. At the same time, I would, you know, be thinking about that kind of thing, telling myself that. But I'm not gonna lie, it would be a scary thought. Like, yo, am I cutting them off? Because at the same time, man, those are my old folks, man. Come on, bro. They're the reason why I'm here. Blah blah blah. This and the third. Not excusing what the fuck happened, and you know, their lack of accountability and how I turned out to be. And even though, and don't get me wrong, bro, it's not like I've just been silent, you know, because I just shared to y'all that, you know, I've been a kid that, you know, has always kept to myself, never really expressed things. It doesn't mean I've never expressed anything. When the moment really came down to it, I expressed every, you know, every little, even though the articulation was never there, because the trauma just like fucks you up for some reason to a point where you may have gaps even in your memory because of, you know what I'm saying, a whole bunch of this toxicity, and you may not be able to articulate exactly, but you know how you felt, bruh. You know how you felt, you know what that kind of decision that they made, you know, how that affected you in terms of the decisions that you're now making and just all of that, right? But at the same time, dog, it's like, yo, am I really taking it there? I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time that I actually hear somebody, because I thought it was my mission. It's supposed to be my mission, bro. I gotta fix things, bro, before I have kids, you know? And there you go. The sister right here was like, man, yeah, my kids ain't seen their grandparents, nigga. To my kids, I am granddaddy and father and mother and grandmother all in the same breath. That's yo, I like that shit.
It always has been that way.
I love that shit.
It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them.
Exactly.
I also didn't expect the fallout that would happen with other family members because of my decision to cut off my mom. There are family members that don't talk to me, mostly siblings, just because of the fact that I won't have a relationship with our mom. And that's okay too, because although we have the same mother, I do realize we had a different experience with her based on the amount of time that we spent around her. I'm just saying, if you meet a person and find out.
Yeah, and the phases of life that she was going through. You know what I'm saying? When you were growing up versus the phase of life she was going through when she was raising your siblings when they were younger. You know what I'm saying?
That they're no contact with their parents.
I do believe that. Okay,
please respect their decision. And keep in mind that it is always the parent's responsibility to mend that relationship. It's never the child's responsibility, no matter how old they are.
Many people grew up in very toxic and traumatizing homes where they were not allowed to speak up for themselves. They were not allowed to have a voice. They were treated as commodities and not like human beings. And now that they have become adults and they're able to think for themselves and make decisions for themselves independently of the family unit, they are realizing, or they're deciding, that they would rather be on their own than having to deal with these relationships into adulthood. Some people have parents who place unrealistic expectations on them, giving them so much trauma that they grew up into being anxious adults. And there are some adults who have tried to repair the relationship that they have with their parents, or even tried to communicate with their parents that, hey, the way that you raised me was very traumatizing. I was hurt, I was neglected, I felt abused. And their parents, even when they're adults, will dismiss them and say, well, that never happened, I never did that, or you were too sensitive. And they are realizing that their parents are not going to change. And in order for them to be happy adults, they need to leave their parents behind. Now, I imagine that if someone has gone through the process of trying to get their parents to understand how they're feeling and they are then dismissed as an adult, I would understand that it would be a tough decision to cut off these people who have been in your lives literally from the beginning.
I blocked my parents even though they paid for some of my college and gave me a car because of this reason. Growing up, both of them had uncontrollable anger issues and absolutely no concept of boundaries. It was violent, emotionally abusive, verbally, physically. You get the picture. My mom would make some serious threats over my grades, and she would tell me like my friends would all realize.
Bro, fuck! Damn, I wish I had that sound bite, that, you know, that sound effect, that fuck! Fuck! Right? Yo, be serious, be honest with me. Was you the kid that was like being threatened? Yo, I'm not even talking about being reprimanded, like being warned. Nigga, threatened! Damn near threatened! Nigga, you dare fail a grade, bro? You dare fail a grade under my roof? Oh shit, you gonna have to see yourself. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to see yourself out this motherfucker permanently. You gonna have to go out of my house, nigga. Out of your house for failing a grade? Nigga, that time you're like 14, 13. Facts. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going, like, alright, let me. I don't know if I should be revealing this to any of y'all, bro, because y'all don't know. Y'all trying to know me though, right? Alright, cool. You know what? Let's be vulnerable. Let's get naked. Let me actually give you this scene right here. So, you know, I started like my whole degenerate journey because of that whole thing, trying to escape from, you know, situations and things like that. So obviously I'm naturally gonna gravitate towards my friends. I'm gonna put top priority on my friends over my family, right? So obviously what's the natural thing to do? Substances. What was my first thing? Cigarettes. Let's get that boom in there because yuck, right? I know. 15 years old, bruh. 15 years old, right? So what happens? My dad finds out, right? My dad finds out. It's I think it was a Saturday morning. It's this one Saturday morning, bro. So we go to the bank with him, right? So what would happen is that my stash of cigarettes and, you know, where I would hide them, because I would hide them at that time, where I would hide them was like deep inside of my my school bag, right? My backpack that I used to carry my school stuff in. So I'd like wrap them up in like toilet paper, wrap the pack up in toilet paper, put them underneath the textbooks and whatever, right? So we go into the bank. So now I forget, I can't remember like what it was, but I needed my ID. Can't remember what it was, man. Either my ID or some sort of identification or birth certificate or some shit. Like I was mad young. So it's in the school bag. So now we both go to the bank, right? So now it's a weekend. So now the queues is long, you know what I'm saying, for like customer service at the bank. So now it's me and my dad and my little brother, like, you know, his last born. So we there, he's like, yo, damn, these queues is crazy. And I forgot something at the house. I quickly am gonna go fetch these things. You stay here and hold our spot in the queue because we didn't live far from the bank. So he drove home, you know what I'm saying? He got whatever he needed to get, and then he asked me about this one thing that I also needed. I'm like, oh yeah, it's in my bag, like just like this birth certificate or ID or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's in my bag and da da da, you know, in this zip in the bag. And then I hang up the phone. I remember, damn, there's contraband in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? There's contraband. I'm like, hopefully that guy doesn't get it, bro. My dad was one of those guys, bro. You really would like your heart would sink. You know what I'm saying? And it would go all the way down to like your rectum. Your heart would sink down to your rectum knowing that this guy's about to find some shit he's not supposed to find from you. Well, me. You know what I'm saying? So he comes back to the bank, bro. He gets me in the line. He don't say shit, right? Oh fuck, it's so cringy sharing this shit. The nigga really, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we do what we do. We get back to the house. He don't say shit. I'm like, I'm even thinking I'm off the hook. Yo, he probably ain't find them shit. So it's all good. Yo, when I get to the house, I'm the one that steps in the house first. I get in the living room. My pack of cigarettes is laid there on the table. Right? There was like 3 left. You know, it's there on the table. He's like, nigga, what the fuck going on here, bro? Yo, what the fuck is this, bro? Dad, yeah, I don't know. It's nigga, what? Talk, nigga. I'm like, bruh, it is what it is, man. Cigarettes, man. Yeah, I didn't like. That's the like. I think that was the first time he caught me red-handed. He'd only like hear about this shit, right? From like, yeah, reports at school, like, yo nigga buggy, whatever, right? So that's the first time he caught me red-handed, dog. I had to explain myself. You know what that nigga said? He said, nigga, you gonna swallow each cigarette that's left. Yeah, you gonna eat them shits. I'm like, fuck! Bro, I kid you not, brother. I swallowed every one of them little things. Crazy. I did. I'll never forget that experience. That shit was the craziest shit ever, bro. And that's the kind of father that I had, bro. No trying to understand, like, why did you get into this thing, bro? Like, what is it, bro? Like, talk to me. Like, what's bothering you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you need? Like, what is, like, it's... Yo, you gonna swallow them shits up, and you better make sure I don't freaking catch you with these things no more, or else you gonna have to go be your own man out in the street. 15 years old as you are, nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Realize how bad and stupid I am one day and leave.
I was like, all right.
When I got married, she claimed that my husband would abuse me and realize that I was a burden and leave me. Like, throughout my life, she tried to drive a wedge between me and anyone that I cared about. I mean, I was just so tired of my parents constantly criticizing every decision I ever made and denying the abuse just because it happened so long ago. Every time I bring up just the physical abuse, they're like, why are you living in the past? It happened so long ago. I just couldn't pretend anymore that everything is normal, because every time I look at them, all I can think of and remember is who they really are. I was afraid to cut contact with them because I was still on their phone contract for some reason. I should have switched that earlier. And my brother still had to be on their insurance. And they still needed to finish signing the car title transfer papers for the car that I've been driving for years. Side note, yes, I'm privileged and I'm extremely grateful for everything I do have. I never asked, begged, or demanded anything from my parents. So despite all these strings attached, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure it out. We'll see what happens. I'll get a new car if I need to. So we picked up my brother, told my parents that he's fine, we're going no contact, and they showed up banging at the door. My brother and I hid, and they accused my husband of acting like a kidnapper when there was a bunch of back and forth yelling, and then they finally left. When we opened the door, we found the car title transfer papers magically signed on the ground. And let me tell you, that shit's been sitting on the back burner for so long because I'm afraid to ask them for things, because they just accuse me of using them for money. I don't need them to pay for these things anymore, and they're the ones who make promises and say they want to give me something, and then when I take it, they accuse me of being demanding and just using them for money. I'm grateful for everything I have, but I really...
Gaslighting ass parents, bro. By show of hands, dog, who... Your parents used to gaslight you too? By show of hands. I could raise two. I could shit like this for the rest of the video. I don't
want all this shit. I don't want transactional relationships. I just want it to be loved and accepted and have my boundaries respected.
That's crazy.
Also, I already did a video on the story, but I did want to clarify, add some more details for the people who want to go no contact with their family and they're afraid like it's too messy, they're dependent. Girl, it's messy. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
So I cut my dad off like a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And I haven't really talked about it much, honestly, at all on here.
I get why.
I have made some videos about, you know, having a parent that's like emotionally absent, and that parent I'm talking about is my dad. I'm gonna try really hard not to make this long. I just figured,
what's up with dads, bro? And I know this is not all dads, but what's up with dads just being dickheads? Like, what is that part of just their existential contract when they get born or some shit? Like, yo, the dads gotta be like, hey, and I ain't gonna lie, the moms, they be pulling their weight too. They be just as demonic. I know that. Yo, but dads just take it to some other fucked up level. I ain't gonna lie.
Maybe if it comes on your For You page and you've never seen me before, it could be relatable. And if you're thinking about possibly doing this to not even a parent, just like someone that you know or they have the same kind of traits, maybe this video is for you. I'm just gonna give like a tiny bit of backstory. So growing up, like, my parents are married. I had a very normal childhood. If anything, I was like a huge daddy's girl. I loved my dad. Like, I was obsessed with him. Like, definitely put him on a very, very high pedestal. And I recognized that a lot of my friends and people that I went to school with at the time, people around me, they didn't really have, you know, active fathers in their lives, or their parents were divorced, so they just didn't really like see their dads as much. So I felt very lucky in the sense of like having a father that was, you know, physically present and there, and like I was, you know, able to touch him, and like he was there. At the same time though, and I think now I can see it as like generational trauma, but at the same time, like I'm almost positive that my dad, even though like he's a good guy, he tried as hard as he could be to be the best father when we were a kid, and I feel like he just kind of gave that up as me and my brother were getting older, and also growing up, like, and I've just kind of realized this, not realize it now, but more so like I'm just like looking back and like reflecting and seeing that it was like just these thoughts are becoming more prevalent. My parents definitely played into that very traditional man of the house role. My mom was always saying like, you need to make sure like the dishes are clean, you need to make sure the house is clean, like, you know, like a man's never gonna marry you if you like don't, you know, like all those like really toxic gender roles. My parents definitely played into them, and it makes sense. Like they are of like that generation, so like they're like born in the 60s, like obviously like they're going to kind of like play into those like traditional roles. But like the thing is, I'm not that type of bitch. I'm just literally not. Like I don't get it.
You're not that type of bitch.
Never understood it when I was a kid. Never understood why my mom like would do stuff like this. But also it's just like my dad, you know, when I was getting older, like sure he did help around the house and stuff like that. I'm sure it was like equal for them at some point, but it's like obviously my mom was always doing more. My mom always signed my permission slips. My mom always, you know, took me to and from like any kind of like cheer practices or soccer practices or like gymnastics or anything that I had to do. I remember one time like I was supposed to go to this dance class, and my dad was supposed to drop me off, and once he got there, you know, it was like, I think it was like $30 for me to like attend that day, and he didn't want to pay for it, so we left. Like, okay. There would be times where we'd go to the grocery store, and my mom would maybe be taking a little bit too long in there, so he would just leave. Like, he would just leave my mom at the grocery store.
Whoa! Damn.
To be with her, so like he would just leave us at the grocery
store. That's savage.
He'd come back around and pick us up, but it's like, what the like, why would you do that? And it was always like growing up, when going into like man of the house kind of things, it's just always what my dad wanted to do. It was always what he wanted to watch on TV. It was always what he wanted to eat. It was always what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go. Not talking about like, you know, like when we take family trips to like Disneyland and stuff like that, but it's just like, it was always his choice. Like, fuck whatever my mom would suggest, fuck whatever we would suggest. It was always his choice. So growing up, I understood that like, maybe because you're the man of the house, like you're the breadwinner, like totally understand you doing all this. But like, after like 2018, my dad started becoming like really, you know, sick, like on and off. He ended up having a stroke in 2022. So he was out of work. And it was still like that, where even when I was still living at the house, like it would be like, oh, well, we're still going to do what he wants to do. And like, as a kid, I understood that. Because like, okay, you're the breadwinner, you're the man of the house, like totally get that. But then like when we were getting older, he wasn't doing anything around the house. He was not helping anybody. He was, if anything, just like making our lives a little bit harder. This is like, we would have to come home.
Yeah, I could see it's a little triggering for you, right? You can take a little breath. You could take a little breath. Breathe, bro. These is heavy things to be sharing. I ain't gonna
clean
lie.
the house after he just made it dirty from not doing anything all day, and he wouldn't feel bad about it at all. Like, he just kind of expected that you would come home and, you know, everything's all clean, because he's not gonna do it. So like, my mom's not the type of person to like see something dirty and be like, oh, I'm gonna let that person clean it up. She needs to like have a really clean place. It's just how she's always been. And so like, when it got to the point of like getting older, and it was still my mom kind of conforming to like anything that he would do, even though he wasn't doing shit, like he wasn't the breadwinner anymore, I started to like wake up and be like, oh hell no, oh hell no. My issues with my dad started like I think probably like my early 20s, like 22-ish. I started like having big issues with him. And like, I was still there for him when he got sick. Like, I was taking care of him when he had a stroke, took him to his doctor's appointment. I did a lot for him, because obviously he's my father. Yes. I put my personal feelings aside for how I felt, because like, obviously I don't want anything bad to happen to my dad. Right. But he wasn't helping himself. You know, even after he had his stroke, the doctors told him, you can't drink alcohol, you can't smoke. He went back to doing all of those things. And he was still complaining that he was like getting sick, not getting better. He wouldn't listen to my mom when it was time to take pills and all these things. You're not a kid. You're a father.
He didn't listen to nobody, did he?
You're a husband. You're an adult. Grown-ass man. This is also just like a random spurt. I kind of forgot too. No. I also promised myself that I wasn't going to travel with my father anymore after we all took a family trip to Cambodia, because he was insufferable on that trip. Like, truly insufferable, and thought the world revolved around him. So I told him, and I told my family, I was like, I will never take a family trip with him again. Just saying. Anyways, it got to the point where he would start to isolate himself every single day from our family. Like, he would spend every single day in our, you know, downstairs TV room for hours. And it was like, to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So obviously I moved out. I moved to LA. And I just would still have to deal with like having to hear about this, and I just couldn't take it. And recently when I was home this past summer for about a month or so, there was some things that, you know, like health things that happened, and I, you know, came back home. He was still kind of doing the same thing, still kind of treating my mom the same way, and I just couldn't take it anymore.
Never changed.
So I wrote him, you know, a note just saying, hey, like, I cannot have you in my life right now. For my mental health, like, it's really just it bothers me. It makes me think of like every single day of just like everything I've gone through in my childhood, and like how he's still not listening. We've had to preach millions of times, like, we just want you to get better, we don't want you to drink anymore, you're hurting us as a family, and he just doesn't care. And I can't personally put myself through that pain anymore.
I see.
I know I am worthy of having a father who loves and supports me, puts 100% effort into like everything, like cares about my stuff, cares about everything that's going on in my life. And if I can't have that, then that's fine. I'm 28. I've gotten to this point. And I've been just fine. But like, just know, like, if you're going through this with a parent or anything like that, you are so worthy. You're more than enough. You're never too much. And like, parents have trauma of their own. I'm not really sure if my dad had like obviously a manual on how to be the perfect father. No one's the perfect father. And he was pretty good up until like I was a teenager going into like my early 20s.
Yo, and I'd say, look, just jumping into like some shit that I just quickly want to point out. I feel like at that point, like, you know, if I'm her, like, I'm obviously asking myself, bro, what was the point of you, like, just creating the situation, right? What was the point of you just, you know what I'm saying, thinking to yourself, yo, let me get me a nice partner that I can just, like, settle down with and create a family with and all this and that third. And you obviously did that, you know what I'm saying? You created your children right here, and then it's like, you probably, you know, these were probably one of the situations he didn't really have a vision for the family, right? He probably, you know, was somebody that like lacked vision for his own life, and therefore obviously, you know, whatever else he initiates within his own life is gonna be like visionless, like aka directionless. You know what I'm saying? At least have, and look, man, not all plans are gonna go according to how you want them to go. You know what I'm saying? But a man with a vision, you know, it's evident when you do have vision for your own family and whatever you start. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the whole thing with me too. It's just like, I remember like even asking my mom, like, I don't know if she'd like even remember this right, but I remember asking her, did you ever have a vision for me? Like, as in, would you like just lay on your back staring at the ceiling and be like, yo, okay, now that I got my son, even before having me, okay, that didn't happen because, yeah, I was a spontaneous baby. Like, I was a spontaneous kid, bro. Like, just how things played out, you could tell, like, yeah, it was a spur of the moment kind of thing. But okay, since now you had me and shit like that, okay, you finding out from the doctor that, yo, you're pregnant and shit like that, right? Any plans, like maybe a young, I don't know, savings account for me? You know what I'm saying? Investment account, let's invest in his future, let's this, that, and the third. Okay, let me make sure we get like a house, like, so that we can get, you know what I mean? So that we can settle, so that, you know, the little one can settle and have like this stable environment. That, like, none of that, dog. But as I said, bro, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, being a spontaneous kid and they had to work with whatever they had and that. Okay, but yeah, whatever. The point that I'm making is that it's very important to have vision with whatever it is you initiate. Forget just kids or just family, anything. I feel like this is an application that can just like be, you know, to anything, bro. You feel me? Your career, you know, relationships, you know, whatever the case, family, kids. You see what I'm saying? It makes shit tricky when it's like, yo, you really, I could see you really didn't even have a plan for me. But then now you want to control every moment. Like, let me just have my own plan then. Let me create my own vision and go live that out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's for the betterment of me. Right? Since you don't have my best interest at it, like, that's, At least that's how it's coming off. That's how it feels. You understand what
my life anymore?
Yeah.
Because it's killing me.
I see it,
deserve to live a happy and fun, full life with people that love and support me and give me the same effort that I give them. And so do you.
Hey guys, so it's been officially 1 year since I went no contact with my mom and my dad, and because this is how I started my platform, I wanted to give like one last update and kind of put this to rest, because I've also decided to put that relationship to rest for good.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of tell you guys how the interaction went and kind of what's led me to that decision. So one of my cousins got married in October, and so a lot of my family attended the wedding, and I anticipated seeing, you know, some of my siblings and my parents. So I was informed that my dad was there like the week before, because the week before was when we did the traditional wedding, and then we do like an American wedding the next week, or sometimes it's a couple weeks in between, just depending on how they want to do it. But they decided to do like one weekend and then the next weekend. So not everybody could stay, of course, because not everybody can get 2 weeks off of work. But my mom decided to attend both. My dad went to the traditional wedding, but he didn't go to the American wedding, which is the one I went to, so I didn't see him. But regarding my dad, he's never tried to reach out to me, like basically since I moved to Houston, which has been 3.5 years, going on 4 years. He's never tried to reach out to me, and like growing up, he was never really there anyway. So it hasn't really been like that much of a difference that he hasn't been reaching out. But I just think like it's the fact that we haven't talked in years and he's just never tried to reach out. So a big part of me is still like healing from that and is still upset with that. But the fact that, you know, he knew I was going to be at the wedding and still like didn't try to coordinate or like, hey, what day are you going to be there? Maybe I can be there at the same time so we can see each other. Like, it just like solidified for me that there was no urgency or any need on his end to, you know, reestablish a relationship with his youngest daughter. So I decided to finally accept that, because like I said, I still had hope for that, but you know, it's okay. So then with my mom, I did see her there because she stayed for both of the ceremonies. And when I first saw her, you know, when you get like that feeling, like that pit in your stomach when you know something, like it's like, it was like nerves, but it was also like, I just had like a pit in my stomach because I didn't know like how the interaction was gonna go. I didn't know like how she felt about me, and I didn't know if I even wanted to talk to her, but she is my mom. So of course, like I also missed her and stuff, but I also know what comes with having her in my space, you know? So one of my uncles who I've never met before, I know who he is.